Happy Hump Day, everybody, and welcome back to Brown Bag Bets. Powered by BetSperts, we are your daily dose of quickie and handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and back from his little break on BetSperts Golf, where I assume they picked the winner of this week's tournament, Mr. Andy Mahler. How goes it?
I think I did. Honestly, I think I did pick the winner. I'm feeling good. I played more outrights than I normally do. I had, just talked into a few, talked out of a couple. It's feeling a big card. It was one of those weeks where I don't know. A good analog to this probably too is your tennis tournaments. You know, not every tennis tournament you approach the same way. Obviously, there are more players, more rounds, more opportunities for variance in obviously a slam or maybe a Masters 1000, but also the best players are there, which takes away some variance because yeah, to be the best, then you do have to beat the best. But you do approach a 250 differently, and I'm just going to call them 250s. I don't care. The WTA makes the number. It's like metric stuff, Instead of saying I'm going to give you an inch, Alex, I would have to say I'm going to give you 2.54 centimeters because the WTA makes the numbering difficult for my brain. But
It's so far down the list of problems, we can skip it.
yeah, no, it's way down on their list. But either way, you do approach different tournaments differently based on the field, the size of the bracket, who's there, whatnot. This is very similar to golf. Like when there is, a high variance, high chance of some players scoring a lot. When the final score in something like this is going to be minus 20, there's a chance for some of these guys further down the board to just kind of end up with a bunch of scoring and find their way into the top 20, top 40. So another reason I drove to Iowa, harder to find top 40 prices on the offshore markets. It is not something that actually I don't think exists anywhere. You really need to go FanDuel or DraftKings if you want to get top 30 and top 40 pricing. Most
I've never
offshores are going
seen
to be
top 30.
at 30 is just FanDuel and DraftKings. 40 is most of the legal books. And then offshore is basically 5, 10, 20. So went to Iowa, placed a bunch of top 40 bets. JJ
That's
Spawn, you can
interesting
have
that
the
offshores haven't copied the top 40 market
yeah,
yet.
I know top 30. How hard is it? It's just another derivative. Like it's not
Just tweet
difficult.
at Dave Mason. He'll figure it out.
Honestly, I bet if I did, he might put that up because it's just one more thing to bet into. It's not that difficult to price, but I do think they gave me some value on a few guys. So I took 5 top 40 prices. I don't remember all of them. They're in the Discord somewhere, but varying from about even money up to one guy that was like plus 250 to end up in the top 40. I really think he has a chance to compete. So it's kind of my low risk, low reward. But I feel like 3 or 4 of those guys are going to be around for the weekend. And yeah, I'll finish up my card this afternoon. Maybe even write some stuff up. And I'm excited to watch a little golf again. I didn't get a chance to watch some of the majors. Somebody said that I took a meeting. He's like, "Oh, I didn't think you'd have time for me because it's a major." It's like, eh, like this is the worst of the 4 majors, and I honestly won't watch as much as I'll watch some other tournaments. So it was fun that our team had a winner, but I'm probably gonna actually watch more Charles Schwab than I did PGA. And
Question.
tonight I'm gonna watch some basketball.
I was thinking real quick, by the way, how many players make the cut in maybe some of these smaller events? Like, what is the difference in number between top 40 and to make the cut?
Yeah, and that is so the cut rules change for everyone. This is an invitational field. That's the other part is top 65 and ties, but there's only
Okay.
120 golfers. It is an invitational field rather than a full field of about 150. So 30 fewer golfers. Top 65 in ties. Last week was 70 in ties, but 65 in ties is pretty common. So, I mean, there's just going to be a lot of these guys that are through to the weekend regardless because there's not that many spots to get cut. So, and another good point by you, it is a invitational sized field here at the Chuck Schwab Challenge.
Chuck Schwab. Good for Chuck. I guess he's
Yeah,
Charles, technically.
they're
But
doing all right, I guess. Too big to
and not that I was
fail.
deflecting from talking about the NBA game, but as you may or may not have read, we have a little pick sheet we use to put stuff in. And I've been thinking about betting the Heat for no less than 36 hours at this point, but there's just so much confusion in this series. I mean, you start with the injury report. Tyler Hero didn't play last game. Kyle Lowry looked less than fantastic last
Yeah.
game. Both of those guys are questionable. Strus is questionable. PJ Tucker is questionable now. Tucker's played the last couple games, and they're at home. I think he'll play, but I went back and watched that Miami game again just to make sure that I wasn't seeing things, and they just looked awful. They were slow. The level of just interest, I don't know what it was. Again, maybe they're just trying to save some energy here, knowing that they have a 3-game series with 2 of those games at home. But man, it's really tough to want to back this Miami team. I'm going to wait and see what the injury report looks a little bit like. Marcus Smart was out last game. Curious to see if he comes back again. Was really impressed with the way Robert Williams looked, but I don't understand why Miami is a 2-point underdog at home. This seems just like a little bit of an overreaction. And as you've said before, it's part of the problem of some of the anchoring that you do before these series. They kind of set a line and they really just move it back and forth on home court without changing the number really very much. And if I like Miami and Boston and they overadjust to go back to Miami, I'm going to like Miami as well. So I haven't made this bet yet. I'll probably end up with some Miami money line, maybe see what things look like. Maybe a Miami team total over if Tyler Hero's in, something like that. But and what continues to be a tough series to figure out and is very zigzaggy. If you kind of follow that pattern, it's Miami's night tonight, but it's hard to put faith in a team that I just saw kind of quit for 48 minutes.
Yeah. And has there been a good conference finals game?
I think that I like the first game of the series. I thought Miami
Oh yeah,
Boston
yeah,
game
yeah.
one
That
was
one, that was
fun.
it's been a while.
I
It's been a
enjoyed
while
game
since we
three.
had
I
a good
thought
game.
game three was interesting, kind of seeing what was going on there. The
Oh yeah,
Western Conference
the
series
Heat.
has been tough, but
That was interesting in the case of like, hey, the Heat won this game. Like from wire to wire, it just kind of felt like we were in it for different reasons. I mostly played props in that one, so I didn't care once that stuff got home. But as it went on, it's like, man, that was like 109,
3.
103 or something along those lines. So yeah,
And
that
Zane
was an
makes a good
interesting one.
Zane makes a good point too. Miami's only won, I think, 3 quarters now in the 4 games that they played in the series. So maybe Boston has just been the better team, but we'll see. It's just hard to put a finger on it. I continue to like Miami to my detriment.
Yeah. And yeah, people in the chat are asking some NBA questions. Jabari Smith to be the number one pick. Looks like there's steam, but we still have a ways to go. We've seen this with the NFL draft where Aiden Hutchinson got some steam early, and I think it's
Let's see.
just so
Icon was
early
the
to.
favorite. Hutchinson
Yeah,
was the favorite.
I think there was like 6 or 7 favorites over the course of like the NFL season to the draft. So a little too early to tell, and steam in a market like that can come with some
We
pretty
don't know who has the
small
first pick yet
threats.
either.
Oh, didn't they have the lottery?
Maybe I missed it.
I think it's Orlando. I'm gonna have to double check that. Like the lottery isn't as big of a deal for me. Yeah, it's
That,
Orlando. They
that I
came.
missed that. Must have happened when I was on
Um.
vacation. Okay, then that's why it's moving. Then
Oh
Orlando
yeah,
does
you were out
like
that
Smith
week.
quite a bit. This is
And
what
also I
happens. You
just
go on
didn't play it.
vacation.
I didn't pay attention to the lottery. The Timberwolves were in the playoffs. It's usually a case of like, hey, maybe the Timberwolves will get a number one pick again, and didn't happen this year. They were not eligible. They were too damn good at basketball. Um, yeah, I'll be excited about the draft in maybe a week or two. Give me a little bit of time. But yeah, Jabari and Chet, that makes sense, Dan. Chet to OKC is a nice fit that people have been projecting even before the lottery went off. And yeah, Boston might just be a truck if Boston trucks. Such is life, I guess. I do have that Boston series ticket, and we'll see. I guess all the COVID stuff kind of just washed itself away. Nothing actually happened. A lot of rumors
That's
overnight. A lot of
another reason to wait to bet tonight's game.
yeah, sound and fury signifying nothing. Charles Schwab, though, like I mentioned, starts this week, and this morning I began my evaluation of all of the matchups. I haven't got to my single round matchups yet. Still digging into those, but this week for course fit, I ended up looking for some guys who, it's not going to be just distance. Distance can help here, but these are some skinny fairways. It's a nice tree lined, lots of dog legs. Not the toughest course, but there are some tests here. So I want somebody who's driving it accurately, who can do that put the ball where they want on the drive, put the ball where they want on the approach, and then putting will just kind of happen. Because again, it's gonna be fairly easy putting again here, and truthfully, guys who just don't miss big on their approach is gonna be fine because around the green isn't gonna be tough here. You're not gonna be in 20-foot deep collection areas looking up at the green. Like around the green is going to be fairly easy. That's what people are giving Hovland a lot of love here because it's not going to matter how bad he is at chipping when it's as easy as a Muni to chip around here. So I did weight things quite differently than last week. Came up with some names that were similar and off the bat, Mito Pereira kind of getting a little bit of shade here. He essentially won that tournament last week. He's been playing as well as anybody. He's a guy I've talked with our friend Cal about for months. Like he's just gonna pop, and we're not gonna have the ticket. We didn't have the ticket last week. I don't think I
I don't
didn't.
know how
I
you
don't know
come
if we
back
even.
from that though.
I he seemed pretty with it in the interview after the tournament. I wouldn't have played this week, honestly, but if he, everybody grieves differently. If his
We'll know
process is
quickly.
yeah, if his process is go play golf, he beats the pants off Answer here. I don't think this price is right at all. He shouldn't be a dog, and he is plus 102. Another one that's not getting the love, and a lot of the guys I know that have bet outrights, including me, love Davis Riley. His form of late, his course fit, and again, the things that matter here, he's doing well right now. He's playing well. And Mav McNeely, another guy I've liked in the past, but he shouldn't be a dog to Mav McNeely with the current form on this course. So plus 102 again, getting a dog price. And then here's one maybe 2 years ago that I would have laughed at because not a lot of people even know who Tom Hoagie is 2 years ago. I think maybe one of the only reasons I knew is because he's from Far. He played up in Fargo, and I know some people who know him just kind of third hand. While he was just real borderline, actually even being a tour player, maybe in that is he even going to make it kind of part of his career? Now he's a winner. He's a tour winner, and he's playing well. And Tommy Tables over Patrick Reed at a 20-cent price. Patrick Reed still is a very good putter, but like I said, everybody's going to be fine here. If he's going to spray the driver a little and have problems out of this pretty penal rough, he's going to struggle again here. So Patrick Reed, he's a nice. I know some people have played him in DFS, but it's because he's just so fucking cheap. Like his price in DFS is a lot more accurate than what they're putting him in some of the betting markets. So laying Tommy Tables minus 120 over former major winner Patrick Reed feels weird, but numbers sussed it out. And yeah, those are three of my matchups that I like a lot this week. And
I still can't believe
I
it's
think
pronounced hoagie.
I know
Just
I
bothers
I
me.
went with Hoj for a long time.
And then Reed and
Golf.
DFS makes sense from like a game theory perspective, right? I mean, who is going to be out there picking Reed? So you
Oh
probably
yeah,
want to have a Patrick Reed lineup, right?
yeah, and DFS is tricky too. When like you mentioned the cut line thing because of the smaller field. With a smaller field, there's going to be more overlap, and it's more difficult for you to have a unique lineup because there's fewer golfers. Like there's 30 fewer golfers, so there will be more overlap, more dupes, more duplicates. So it is a struggle. If you're in these big contests, you're really going to have to think, I don't know, think outside the box is so cliche, but really get weird with it, get a little crazy to make sure you have some unique lineups. So have fun with that. I'm probably just sitting DFS out this week. Underdog is a contest this week where you can like draft your players for just the first round or something. I'm gonna go check those out. That might be what I do instead.
I can dig it. It's fantasy season is coming, but as Dan says, tennis season is here. Mr. Alcaraz, the tournament co-favorite. I think Novak actually slid a little bit ahead of him as things closed out.
Oh yeah.
Tied in a set here, down a break against his fellow countryman Albert Ramos Vignolas, ARV, as we know him,
Arv.
basically ARV. But we'll see. I mean, this could be the 19-year-old's first. I think he's still 19. 19-year-olds test in what is 5-set tennis. I mean, at some point he's got to get through a grueling match, and I think he will win this. I'm not really too concerned here, but it's good to get this test probably earlier than later.
Yeah, This is a trial by fire. Or maybe he loses. I don't know. Our ARV is no slouch on clay. I don't
We
care.
get
Like
to have
he's
a surprise on
a
the men's side
savvy
for the most
vet.
part.
Yeah.
Did Zverev survive today? Zverev is trying to survive. He's 2-2 in the fifth
Yeah.
on
He'll get
serve.
there.
So it's again, there hasn't been any nonsense on the men's side yet. So we got two of brewing.
It's been close. Like Zverev is close right now. Tsitsipas really close yesterday. He was down 2 sets to 0, and now Alcaraz 1-1 going into the third. Has he even played any 5 set matches?
No,
I was gonna say I don't remember. Like once he came on the scene, it was I don't remember him in any slams yet. So
no,
that'll
never.
be. Oh, and Zverev. There's already been 2 breaks in the fifth in the Zverev match. God, classic Sasha. I should go watch that after the show.
I think
It'll
that's what
still
we're
be
doing.
fun.
But we'll popcorn, see if Mr. Zverev can keep it together. But once those matches are done, we have a couple more women's matches that we bet yesterday that are still up, and then 2 more for tomorrow. Bianca, Vanessa Andreescu, BVA, the Mississaugan Mammoth, goes up against Belinda Bencic. And this is a handicap where it's a little bit more fading Bencic. Now, the market's moved against us. I gave this out a plus 125. It's plus 140 in certain places. And Bencic, I guess, is someone that gets back. I'm talking to some people. I don't know really too many guys that have bet Bencic yet. A few people that I know have actually backed Andreescu or the over in this situation. Bencic gets crushed here in Rome pretty much every time she plays. She's made it to the third round of those 2 tournaments once in her entire career. It's not a great surface for her. She is not someone that is looking to get into physical matches, kind of long grinding matches, and I think it's tough for her to hit winners. And Andreescu's looked solid the last couple of weeks. I've been kind of heartened by her play, and I think she does have the game that can do well here. So it's almost in a way fading Bencic and trying to buy in a little bit ahead on Andreescu. Again, I gave it out plus 125 yesterday. If you waited, good for you. Osorio -4 and -5 games. That's moved with us a little bit, but it looks like you should still be able to get those. Again, she goes up against Diane Parry, who's coming off an upset victory over Krejcikova. Just a lot of things floating around there. I just continue to see a bunch of value in her. I don't know if she's good enough maybe to win this tournament ever, but I think she's going to be a real threat here in these kind of slow, tough courts for the next couple of years of her career. For tomorrow morning, again, these matches will be 5 a.m. Eastern or later. We'll go with Azarenka Teichmann under 21 games. This match is pretty closely lined. You go back and look, Teichmann in general has a bunch of quick matches. So does Azarenka. I like Teichmann here. I thought about maybe betting her, but the match is lined pretty closely. I was hoping for Teichmann like plus 125, plus 130, something like that. But regardless of who wins here, it should happen pretty quickly. I'm probably going to look at set unders here. Maybe there's a chance it goes over 2.5, but we're in a really good spot here. This looks to me like a 6-4, 6-3 kind of situation, maybe even a 7-5, 6-2. Second sets in general have been great unders here on the women's side. And then we'll take a dog here, Zheng Qinyan, and we don't have to really know it. There's only one Zheng. She's playing against Halep. Halep dropped a set yesterday against Shunk, a young player who is just way below her level. It's been a really kind of up and down year for Halep. She's shown periods of greatness, but even at her very best in some of those Grand Slams, you go back and look, she has these periods where against some of these younger players, maybe she's just not locked in, maybe just not being familiar with the player's game yet, drops sets and occasionally matches here. And Zhang is a crazy talented player. I'm someone I was a little worried. I picked up an injury about a week or so before the event, but looked great in her first match and is someone who I think is going to be very good on tour. And have this closer to 250 and the plus 1.5 sets price. I'd have that at minus 110, even minus 115. Now you'll see a 5.5. Go ahead and play that if you like. I'd rather take the plus 1.5 sets at plus money. There's a chance that she can cover the 5.5 in 2 sets, but when Halep wins, and if she wins this match, it'll probably be by a lot. I think there's a good chance Zhang steals a set, and even if things get ugly in the next 2, we've got nice plus money in our pocket. So couple for tomorrow, couple for basically right after the show ends. Just waiting for some matches to finish.
Yeah, there's a lot, and we had some rain. Things got screwed up. Things happen.
It's also
Um,
playing tennis outdoors is tough from a schedule perspective.
it is sometimes. You just never know with the rain in France. I think
That's
I almost
right.
said Spain
That's
just because there's
fine.
so many Spaniards. But it says
Vacation
NFL
in
on the
Paris.
rundown. I don't actually have any NFL bets. More just advice. It is May 25th. You're gonna start seeing stuff popping. I've just seen it because I talk to enough people, or I'm in enough goddamn betting chats where people are posting bets they've made, And they're starting to come out with some. I mean, things are just populating. And someone said something smart. I don't know. We'll see how smart it was, I guess, down. But something that made me think a little bit as far as some of these regular season props for player, performance are going to open, and there's going to be big movement on them. And if you are a really smart fantasy mind, or say you have subscriptions to some fantasy services who have good projections, like I think you can probably take advantage of some of those to the point of, and this is what this person said, maybe even middling something. If you decide to, this line is extremely off, like, I know the whole hedging controversy has been all over Twitter with Rufus's giant ticket that he didn't hedge, but this truly isn't hedging. If you think you can find a nice fat middle on a player performance total, because you see these move 3, 4, 500 yards sometimes on like passing totals or rushing totals. Obviously, rushing totals aren't going to move 500 yards, but there's some big movement in the markets. And I think one of mine that opened really, really low last year or the year before, and that I ended up betting it. Where it closed was higher than, I bet an over. It was so low, it was stupid. He hit it at like week 10, but where it closed, he didn't get there, to the point where I probably could have and should have middled that. So something to think about, something to look at. I'll start having win totals soon. I'll start having some props, some player props, some award markets. I know Drew and I, once he gets back from vacation, are going to dig heavily into all that stuff, as it's a lot of fun. Probably not the best use of our bankroll, as we can just spin it on tennis, baseball, basketball, and then eventually football all summer. But I'm still not going to not have a bunch of awards markets. Award markets are the most fun for me all season. It's just such good fodder for talking about as we just piss and moan about Jamar Chase all year. So I'll have that going forward. And then, as always, a quick shout out and thank you to our sponsor, Profit Exchange, who is going live in Jersey soon. Check out the links in the description, in the show notes. Get signed up for their newsletter and take advantage of their best promo offers when they finally do fire up that exchange in New Jersey. We spoke about it a little bit with Captain Jack the other day. He's hopeful for the exchanges, which was not where I thought he would be. So that was good news. I thought he
It's a
would be
good
a little more doom and
conversation.
gloom on it. Yeah. So
It
yeah,
was
if you
good to
haven't
know that
seen
the
that, check it
one.
out.
It's good to know that the one exchange. I like the way you talked about it as kind of a double-edged sword. The one exchange is literally, paying. It sounds like certain sharps and odd services to go in there and provide liquidity, whereas the other one, is saying it's going to be a little bit smaller and hopefully more recreational. But at the end of the day, it should be a pretty sharp market, right?
Yeah, I think so. Especially, I mean, it will be with the kind of money that sort of over round attracts. It should be a damn sharp market. So if nothing else, it might be a good bellwether for eventually, once that reaches enough liquidity, it might be a good bellwether for, like, finding out if something you're on is a sharp side or not. But you need liquidity for those markets to find the stasis. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see you guys Thursday.